name is Emily Rodriguez. I am a birth and postpartum traditional doula, and I'm based out of the Bronx, New York. Can you grab her sneakers? Lots of people call us and they ask, like, are you a Black doula? I heard through the grapevine, because it's really hard to find people that look like you for support.
It was about 6 a.m. I started to feel something, but I still wasn't sure that it was labor. It just felt like cramping.
And so I was like, are you still breathing through? And she's like, yes. And then I hear her like, oh, and I was like, that's not breathing through, that's moaning. I'm on my way. All right, girl, we're heading down. We're usually hired in the second trimester, sometimes the third. That's nice because then we can develop a relationship together. Doggy, go back inside. And then I'm on call 24/7 for you from 38 weeks to 42 or whenever you have your baby. Okay. I sleep with my phone. I shower with my phone. I mean, it's the hardest and best job in the world.
Doulas like Emily say they've seen a jump in the number of women who want to give birth at home or at a birthing center in the past year. Some are concerned about COVID, but for women of color, fear of giving birth in a hospital started well before the pandemic.
When the mother or birthing person is Black in a hospital, it's a completely different experience. We're not taken seriously, we're ignored, we're not given the same care that I see my white clients receive.
The more research I did, the more, I would say, anxious I did get, which led me to switch from a hospital to a birthing center.
She's feeling pressure during contraction, so she's very close to pushing. Don't feel like you have to speed, you're okay.
This is how I naturally drive.
Oh, okay, great. Black people are not believed when we experience symptoms, when we say we're in labor, when we say we know what's best for our bodies.
Okay, that's a lot of pressure.
Yep. Just blow it away, love. Just blow it away. And the reason is racism in the hospital setting. And, you know, we know that through research. It's not just us telling each other stories anymore. In the United States, we lose Black mothers 3 times the rate of white mothers. And with COVID, we don't have the statistics yet, but it's super exacerbated. Lots of people are falling through the cracks, especially Black and brown people.
I told you that we won't stop. She took 2 pregnancy tests, came running from the bathroom, jumped on the bed, jumped on me to wake me up, and she started planning immediately. She jumped straight into mommy mode.
26-year-old Amber Rose Isaac died last April at a New York hospital during an emergency C-section.
We had a whole life planned ahead of us. There was just so much that she wanted to do with Elias. I had an off-put feeling from our very first appointment. Her OBGYN had asked Amber, well, you know, are you 2 married? And we're telling her no, but we have plans. So her OB kind of made a face. I feel like after that, she was a little less attentive to Amber. But during the second trimester is when we really started facing the neglect. It went from us being able to walk to the park to us barely being able to make it down the block, and I would almost have to carry her just to make it back. We were just doing telehealth. You know, they're asking the same questions every week. She's telling them the same thing, and they're not doing anything about it. We were so fed up with the neglect and the incompetence, so we decided that we were gonna interview some midwives and doulas.
Those birth workers noticed Amber's platelet counts were dangerously low. They suggested she get blood work done immediately. But Bruce says a day after Amber went in for her tests, she was called back into the hospital. There she received a new diagnosis, one that Bruce says Amber's doctors previously missed. Amber had developed HELLP syndrome, a serious pregnancy complication that affects the blood and liver.
Now with HELLP syndrome, there are several solutions to take care of this if caught early on. It wasn't caught early on. Due to Amber's low platelets, she became anemic and she became high risk. It was just crazy to us that we had to hear this news from midwives and not our doctors. Our midwife told us, you need to be seen immediately. We get there, Amber, her mother, and myself. And Amber's talking to me, and she's just telling me about how scared she is and how nervous she is. And I'm trying to calm her down. I'm telling her, you know, this is what we've been waiting for. And she's looking at me and she's telling me, yes, we're going home. All three of us are going home. And that's the last time I've seen Amber.
The medical center that was treating Amber said their maternal mortality rate is better than the national average, and the mothers they serve are mostly minorities.
At first, it was very hard for me to be with Elias because all I could think about is our family is broken. Or like, I look at him and I see Amber, so it was really hard. I would break down every time I would hold him. And I know that's something that I needed to get over because I know that he needed me. Elias needs me.
CDC data shows 60% of all maternal deaths are preventable. And doulas like Emily try to notice issues that others might miss.
I think if I wasn't here today, my client would never have had the same experience, especially in the hospital setting.
Keep this real short.
Carolina, take a deep breath and push down into your power.
With a Black client, we have to be advocates. We have to know what the right amount of blood is. We have to know how to put a blood pressure cuff on or monitor our clients because sometimes nobody else is.
That's head. 246. 246. Oh.
Super long. Okay. Carolina said that her birth experience was successful, and a successful birth to me is one that the birthing person feels empowered. So that can happen in any setting when you have support.
That support isn't free. Congresswoman Lauren Underwood, a registered nurse, put forward legislation called the Momnibus that would help fund organizations that are trying to address the mortality rate, would work to diversify the ranks of healthcare workers, and improve how we collect data on Black mothers.
For every death, there are 70 near misses for Black women. It is not that there is something wrong with the woman. It's not like a genetic issue. It's not an individual problem. We are talking about a healthcare system that has significant barriers in place, but the legislative solutions are here. It's not like we don't know what to do. Let's fund those. And let's give women and families some option about where to go, what kind of providers to pick from. That's how we pulled together the Momnibus. Comprehensive legislation, 9 bills addressing every different aspect of this crisis.
Underwood plans to reintroduce these measures in the House in the coming weeks. But on their own, bills can't solve a problem that's systemic.
We can't let Amber go out in vain. We can't let Sha'Asia go out in vain.
Bruce has turned his grief into activism. He's been lobbying on the local level to do things like build the first birthing center in the Bronx.
We can't let Shamani go out in vain.
I'm definitely trying to help pass a bill to where insurance covers midwifery doula services. Because even though Amber and I had exceptional insurance, we were still gonna have to pay like $4,000 out of pocket. These services are less accessible to the women of our community.
I walk into my room and I still expect to see Amber laying in bed with her bonnet on.
As a doula, I stand arm in arm with Bruce. Any birth worker is trying to scream this information so that people get better care because we deserve better care, but nobody is listening.
He's so cute.
It's one thing to die in childbirth, but I think it's another thing for it to be preventable. It's like, how do you grapple with those deaths?
Yo, he's like looking straight into my eyes.
A lot of people think that if they have a Black obstetrician or a Black midwife in the hospital that they'll be protected, but they're in a system and have to respond and act accordingly.
Oh, yes, that's a good one.
I think that the solution is out of the hospital until they revamp it and make it safe for Black and brown people. I feel the same way about like, you know, everything that's happening in this world is like with Black people. It's like, when are we going to listen? Like, what shooting is going to be enough? What death is going to be enough? Like, at what point do we actually elicit change?